Hi, this is Jeannie. Welcome to Mimicraft, your home for all things DIY, creative, and affordable. I make all the mistakes so you don't have to. Well, hello Mimicraft family and future Mimicraft family. If you see something you like in the video today, please hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you know every time I upload, and please comment. It really helps the channel. On to our projects! Today we'll be using Dollar Tree tumbling tower blocks to create high-end home decor. The first project is a sconce. You'll need 48 tumbling tower blocks or one box. You start by choosing 48 blocks that are as similar in size as possible, same length, width, and thickness. Using wood glue, glue together 16 sets of 2 end to end. I'm using here the Dollar Tree's wood glue. It's the super glue wood glue. Optional but highly recommended is to fill in all the little crevices with wood filler. This little knife was actually a spatula, or whatever you want to call it, from the Dollar Tree, meant for icing cakes. And so here I am filling in all those connections. And when the wood filler is dry, sand all of the joints. That grew tedious, so I got out my Ryobi corner cat and the protective equipment necessary and went for it. Don't forget to sand the remaining 16 blocks. Next, you're going to be gluing in single blocks in between the double sets of blocks. The single block belongs 1/4 of the way in on each side, which is the halfway point of each block. It's easiest just to look at the video. Again, use wood glue to secure it in place. Glue the top double piece parallel to the bottom double piece. This is the shape we're going to be using today in the projects. Use this very first piece that you make as a template. If you want to paint your lantern, this is the time to paint the pieces before we add the mirrors. I purchased these acrylic mirrors on Amazon and wanted to incorporate them into the DIY today. The only reason I'm doing things the way I am is because I already had these mirrors. I would do it differently if I knew ahead of time what I was going to make. This is what they look like. They're very easy to cut. They're 2-inch mirrors and they're a lot cheaper than a standard mirror. And I decided to cut mine down so that I would have enough. The mirror is going to go into that little opening in the piece that you just made. So what I did is I taped it down to a cutting mat and cut it into quarters. I started out with a craft knife, but then quickly remembered that I actually have an acrylic cutter. This acrylic cutter I purchased at Home Depot and it zipped through these really well. Just make several cuts and then you can break your pieces off after that. The piece you see here is damaged on that left side because I tried cutting it with scissors. I don't recommend it. So what I did is I glued this mirror side down onto the back of one of these pieces. Later on you'll see a different way to attach these as well. That's Dollar Tree wood glue, by the way. Dry fit these into the shape you see on screen and then glue them together with wood glue. After gluing them together, fill in those connections with some wood filler. It also adds strength to the structure. You can use a wet paper towel to remove a bulk of the wood filler before you sand. I used a twine hanger for the back of this. I'm just going to do a little sample for you here. Cut off the amount of twine that you want, and you'll glue it directly to your wood piece with a little bit of hot glue. Press it down, and then flood it with hot glue. Do the same on the other side. I decided that this sconce would be for a taper candle. This is a battery operated taper candle that I purchased at Dollar Tree. What I did is I bought a smaller one from Dollar Tree because it had that little holder on it and it fit as well. So that's what we're going to use to hold it on. I took 2 blocks and glued them together to make a little shelf. Next, I glued the candle holder directly to that shelf. I used hot glue. You could also use E6000 or any other real heavy-duty adhesive. I put the candle in to decide where the shelf should go. Now the shelf should be glued on with wood glue because you need that stability. I hated the color of this candle, so I painted it with Waverly chalk paint. The color is plaster. After thinking about it, I thought maybe I should add mirrors to all the rest of the openings in this project. You can see here that if I had known I was going to be making this, I should have bought, a 7 or 8 inch mirror and then cut it to actually fit the project, because you can see the seams. It's up to you if you like it that way or without. You'll see it both ways in the photos. This is how it turned out. It'd be perfect in a neutral palette. You can also paint it any color you like. I did eventually paint it. You'll see that later in the video. I estimate the total cost for this to be between $3 and $4. I mean, it doesn't get any more affordable than that. Next project is a lantern, and you will need 180 blocks or 3 boxes. I'll show you 3 different ways to make this. Start by making 20 of the shapes you made for the first DIY. You'll see me using hot glue here. That was just to move things along. You don't want to use hot glue, trust me. Use wood glue if you want this to hold together well. Start by gluing 4 sets of 5 as you see here. With wood glue, glue these together as you see on screen. we're going to glue it into a perfect square. By the way, you can see that I taped all the mirrors on. This is so that I can easily paint the projects later in the video. This is how it should look. Both the base and the lid will be made with 27 blocks, 3 long by 9 high, so it's almost a square. Make one of the shapes to use as a handle. You can place it either this way or on its side. I chose the other way for mine. Use wood glue to glue your project onto the base. Leave the lid free. I recommend only a battery-operated form of lighting, as wood is flammable. And this is how it turned out. This project cost somewhere between $4 and $5, plus the cost of whatever lighting you'd like to put inside. Now here's a second way that you can arrange these pieces to give your lantern a little bit different look. You'll be alternating 2 horizontal and then 2 vertical. And I'm just showing you how to stack them here. Obviously you'll be gluing them as you go. And it should look like this. This is how it looks if you stack 10 high instead of 5 high. Ten high would also serve as a real nice vase. Our third project is a mirror, and you'll need 72 blocks. But I would buy more than one box because you're going to find some rejects. I started with a hexagon-shaped Dollar Tree mirror. I'm covering up the mirror so you don't have to look at my camera and me as we go along. With a pencil, mark the midpoint and corner of each side of the hexagon. Glue 1 block at each of these markings pointing toward the middle. I recommend that you use either hot glue or strong adhesive like E6000. I suggest that you mark the center of the mirror to give you a reference point when placing your shapes. When you place shapes on each one of these blocks, you'll end up with a very tiny hexagon in the middle. The reason we're using these blocks is to make the shapes level with the frame. I used hot glue to glue these on. For this part, you could use wood glue. The second set of shapes are glued. As you see on screen, the end will be even with what I'm going to call the shoulder of the pieces from the layer before. And it'll turn out something like this. This DIY will run you about $3. I'm not in love with the white frame, so we'll be taking care of that a little later in the video. This project is going to be another version of the lantern, but we're going to do it in white, and we're going to take a look at the other projects in white as well. This is another way to glue these mirrors on. Run a bead of hot glue around the perimeter of the mirror so that it touches both the mirror and the blocks. The sides are glued together in the same manner as before, but we'll be placing them vertically instead of horizontally. To best hold this lantern together, I recommend placing blocks in each of the corners on 2 of the sides. Make sure they're completely in the corners, and you'll see coming up how they're going to go together. I painted these also just in case they showed through at all. On one of the sides with the blocks, place glue on the outer portion of those blocks. Place another side at 90 degrees up against those blocks so that the corners match up. You can also glue things in this direction, which is what I chose to do, where I put the side on the bottom and then put the next side on, and then I strengthened the joint with some hot glue while I was waiting for those to dry. Do the same for the other side, and you will need supports behind these to hold them in an upright position. Make sure they're at 90 degrees. Here's a close-up view of how it should look on the corners. The last side gets glued on like a lid. Put your glue on those 4 blocks and gently place the last side on. You can make some adjustments to make sure the entire structure is square and that all the corners are meeting properly. I recommend putting a book or something like it on top of the structure to hold everything firmly in place as the glue dries. The base and the lid are the same for this lantern too, so just place glue on the bottom of all of the sides and center it over the base and glue it on. And here it is. I'm loving the white. Here I'm painting pieces to remake the mirror. I also painted all of the blocks that go directly on the mirror because the mirror was really showing anything that wasn't painted. Forgot to show the first time around that these mirrors actually have a hook on them. You can see a bunch of glue on those white blocks from the first mistake I made. In order for these to appear the way I wanted them to, this time I glued the pieces from the middle of the sides first so that the pieces at the points would be higher. I love this piece in white, and I think I'm going to save it for Christmas decor, perhaps bling it up and turn it into a snowflake. And now the sconce in white. Aren't they gorgeous together? And here's all three. Thank you so much for supporting me and watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and comment on which project you liked most. Until next week, bye!